what to write about. Trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist. Am I worth anything or just discount? I don't know.
That was Great Sounds of Watts Without Sound on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Prestige, with my partner in crime, Long Island raised, Elm City made, E.Z. BlueZ. Is in the building. Easy Blues, you're better with introductions more than me. Who do we have with us today on Behind the Brand?
Some people will ask, if a tree falls in the forest and no one is around to see it, does it make a sound? Other people can say, if there's a phenomenal show going on and no one was around to hear it, did it make a sound? No one was around to see it, did it make a sound? There are certain people in this industry that are there to captivate those moments and capture them, to fully mass produce them, so those that missed out know not to miss out tomorrow. They are sometimes overlooked, they are sometimes overshadowed, but they are always there, and those are the scene photographers. They are some of the people that help build the visual aspect of what your local music scene is. Today, we are blessed to have from Defilippo Photo, Amanda Defilippo, here today to talk about what it's like to be a scene photographer. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. And you actually did pretty good pronouncing my last name.
No, it happens.
Yeah.
So I know that this is more of a passion aspect for you that has just kind of stumbled into an entrepreneurial decision. What was that like to go from just kind of doing it as a security blanket to being, say, picked up by Neurotronic Records and given that press pass?
So it was really kind of weird for me, to be honest, because I was kind of falling out of terms with the old band I was working with. So I was like, this is on its way out. Let me see what I can do. I had previously worked with Passing Strange at an acoustic show, and I had seen they had got picked up by Rick over at Neuro. And I was like, you know what? Let me just hit him up. What's the worst he can do? He can say no. So I sent him a message on Facebook like, hey, I see you have a couple shows coming up. Would you be cool if I came and shot it? So he's like, yeah, here's my phone number. Give me a call tomorrow. So, just putzing around, waiting. I call him. He's like, hey, give me a minute. I'll call you back. And he's like, so I checked you out. And he's like, holy S word, you're a really good photographer. A lot of people hit me up and it's like, oh, they're just using their phone. It's blurry. It's this. He's like, your stuff is really, really good. Can you, I'm going to be in West Haven a little later. Can you meet me over at the McDonald's? He gave me a press pass. And then I started working with him and working more and more with just probably close to 100 shows and bands by now. And through him, I've made all these other connections. Actually, my first show through Rick was the one I believe you guys put on, United Noise Fest, 3 years ago?
Yeah. About four now.
I think I just made my 3 with him.
All right,
who knows?
I don't know.
It was a long time.
COVID,
but it's
COVID
been a hot minute.
Stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, COVID did make time stop, especially for me.
Well, I'm glad you actually mentioned that show because of that show, you got to experience something that no one else really truly understands. What was it like taking a picture at that show of the band Cardboard Dream House and then seeing it on, a big billboard?
Oh, yeah, that I might have cried, honestly, because up until that point, a lot of bands that I'd go to shows, I'd only really gotten recognition from one prior band I had worked with. And to see that, I was like, oh my God, people actually like what I do. It was just genuinely because I when I was first starting out, I was always doing it for free. Hey, I'm just here to help out. Like you said, it was a security blanket. You both know, but I have severe anxiety.
Right.
If I'm not doing something at a show, I will shut down. I'll have to go hide in my car, things like that. But I had one band, they're like, oh yeah, we'll pay you, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, how much? They're like, how much? I'm like, let me see what I have. I ended up having not too much. I'm like, yeah, just throw me $15 as a tip and you could have them. And they're like, oh, that's like out of our budget. Our friend took some and like those are good enough. It's like your friend took blurry photos that you can't even see what's going on their phone, and $15 is too much. So for Rick to be like, this photo's going on a billboard, and it was like, oh my God. And then since then, I think he's like almost every billboard he's done, if it's for Frank Vialli, if it's for Carol, if it's for the name droppers. I think he did one with Alter Ego with my photo. There's probably been like, and like, I don't even know about all of them. I was talking to him about it and he's like, oh yeah, no, every time I do a billboard, it's your photo. I'm like, and it's just like, every time it hits me again, like it's recognition. It's someone caring what I do, someone actually appreciating and like looking at what I'm doing and saying, this is something people need to see.
Well, I love that you mentioned Carol. That's very familiar with our show. Carol Sullivan, phenomenal artist. What is it like working with her? Because she's very fun, very driven on how everything should play out. So what is it like being able to integrate your artistic vision with the vision in which she wants to see herself in?
Honestly, for my photos, like she doesn't even say anything. She just automatically loves them. I met her at I think it was a Tour for Life, or it was like 3 bands. Trying to remember, like I think that was like 2 years ago. No, 3 years ago, because 2 years ago was the one we did. So 3 years ago, it was like when I first met Kenny as well. I had done it and like I gave it to them, like Rick uses some of them. I didn't like see her or talk to her for almost a year. It wasn't until I saw them over at 10 Selden for, I think it was an album release. I can't remember for certain, but Carol recognized me immediately. She ran up to me. She gave me this big hug. She's like, I love your pictures. Like, you have to come to every show you can and take pictures. Like, and like I said, I hadn't seen her in like a year and she still remembered me. She remembered the photos, and her, Rafe, none of them, they just let me do what I need to do because they trust and know my work and they're happy with it. So I can't say that she'd be like that for everyone, but to me, like, it's a very nice, like, she knows what I do and she's happy with what I do. And that's enough for me.
Now, I also love how you mentioned Rafe, because I know you've also done some like photo work and also some video work for some of the videos that he's done, including the video that the name droppers were nominated for a Nemo for. What is the difference between doing videography and photography?
I will take photography over videography any day of the week. Because with if you give me a moment, with photography, I have a lot more control. I don't, because when my type of photography, I don't really do the posed stuff. I don't do the stage stuff. If I do, it's very rare. And even then, and people I've worked with can attest to that. If I'm doing like a band photo, like you're outside a venue, I'm taking pictures of you, chances are the photo I'm going to pick to use is my test photo, where like you guys are still out there talking or someone's having a smoke or something like that, where you're relaxed and you're natural and you think I'm just messing with the camera settings, but I've already gotten my settings mastered. And like, I'm giving away my secrets here, but like I've already gotten it. So I'm getting those candid shots that aren't completely candid. Like, you know, there's a camera there, but you're not cheesing for it. You're not like looking at the thing. And it gives a way to have a posed photo without being too posed, but you're still gonna see what they're doing. Whereas for videography, like, I don't have a camera made for video. I work with Nikons. Nikons don't do video very well. They're just photos. So a lot of time, this is my camera. This is my camera for video. So it's just, I don't have the control. It's a lot more about what I'm doing, keeping people in frame, holding it. Like the last video I did with Rafe and the guys was Too Bad on Your Birthday. I'm walking backwards downtown New Haven, like in front of Cafe 9, going up those stairs backwards, not being able to see what I'm doing. because I'm staring at the phone, like I'm holding it on this stick, staring at the phone, trying to keep everyone in frame, trying to match their speed. So it's just for me, like, and then I don't do the editing, so it's like I don't get to have that like fun that I have when I do photo editing, where I'm sitting there like tweaking the colors, picking the perfect shot. Because again, I'll shoot in bursts, so I get like a bunch of photos that are exactly the same almost, except for like a finger placement or like the way the lips are curled or something like that. So because like I said, the only video editing I do is lyric videos. So it's not like, and even those, like, they're basic. So I don't have the same fun and creative ability that I have with my photos as I do with video. Don't get me wrong, I still enjoy it because I enjoy being part of anything, but it's just give me photos over video any day.
Well, makes sense. Makes sense. Now, as you continue to push and evolve, are there particular how do I word this? Are there any like particular kind of gripes you have with some of the performance aspects? You know, you are a live performance photographer, and you know a lot of artists don't necessarily get notes from the photographer on what's going to make it easier or make it more difficult for them. Are there any kind of advice you have for the up and coming performer that wants to ensure that they're going to get good photos?
My biggest thing, have fun. If you have fun, I can correct color and lighting and all that. If you look scared of your instrument, and I know that sounds crazy, but I've taken pictures of people where they're like hunched over like this, like hiding, or they're like this. It's like, don't be afraid to have fun. Like, sorry to steal your line, Dustin, but it's called playing for a reason. Have fun. Don't be afraid. Like, enjoy yourself. Kind of go into it knowing like this is fun, because it's not just photos wise. No one's going to pay attention if your music is perfect. It's just, they're not. You can think they are, but you could miss like 7 notes. No one's going to care. They're going to care that your energy is up, that you're having fun. So it's not, like I said, it's not just photos. It's just a general performance thing. Like, have fun, enjoy yourself. And if you are going to have a photographer there, like, you're going to have one, this is a small gripe, and it's one that I've talked to bands like 1,000 times. Like, it's like one of those rare photo shoots, don't wear white. Because what happens with white is a lot of times it either blows out, or like in my case, because I do a lot of bars, sometimes it's dark. I got to throw my flash on. That white's going to bounce way too much color back at us. And yeah, we can correct it, but it takes forever.
White balance?
And not even white balance. White balance is an easy correct because for one, most of our cameras have auto white balances in it, and I'm not afraid to use that. Other times we have, if I had thought about it, I would have brought down, I have these little cards that are black, white, and gray, and the gray is the 60% neutral, which is like your standard neutral gray. Yeah. And you can like put that in the frame and like lock your white balance to that. What happens with white, like I was saying, it's the presence of all colors. So it's going to bounce back all that light back at you. So what's going to happen is your light sensitivity is going to hone in on that shirt, and it's going to be so much brighter than the rest of the picture. And then while you're trying to color correct back and light correct, that shirt's just sticking out. So you have to go in and you have to like hand paint, or you have to mask, or things like that. And it just gets, again, not impossible. It's just tedious. It makes the job harder.
Right.
So
there you go.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And then other ones too, like John gets this all the time from me. He has a shirt that I hate that's black and white that I wish he would stop wearing, because when I'm moving the picture around, it makes me dizzy. Yes, I know. No, it makes me dizzy. But like, that's a personal gripe. I'm not gonna be like, you can't wear that. But I'm gonna make it known that I hate the shirt every time I see it.
It's actually known as the shirt you hate, and that's why he wears it all the time.
I'm fully aware. I'm fully aware that you guys do that to me. Don't worry, I'm aware.
In fact, I think it's actually going to be the album cover, but for different reasons. Reasons.
I wasn't the one who was going to say that.
No, but it's very, very interesting, because a lot of artists don't necessarily think about those type of things, and we've had the conversation a lot with Marisa from
Trashing Violet.
Crashing Violet.
Crashing Violet,
Ooh,
Rock Mommy.
Rock Mommy. You know,
She works with neuro as well.
Exactly. And she, you know, she's very particular. She plans out what the look is. She makes sure everything is squared away in that type of aspect. And she feels she needs to. But then you have someone like myself who could care less. And like, if I sniff it and it's clean, I'm going to wear it. I don't think about what it's going to look like on camera because I don't really care. You know, I'm there for that moment and that moment in particular. So that type of advice is really good for that artist that wants to be in that middle ground.
Yeah.
You know,
You
not everyone
don't...
can. Hold on, not everyone can scorch the earth the way that I scorch the earth.
Yeah, I was gonna say no one. You don't expect people to be able to capture you. I'm one of the few. So
yeah. Well, and it's also I don't. You know, I'm different because I don't stand on stage. I sit in the dark.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know, I get in the crowd's face. Other people, you know, need that. Other people feel more comfortable in that spotlight, and hey, more power to them. I never pour salt in anyone else's hustle. So understanding that, hey, don't wear white is important. Also understanding that there are some venues that are going to be darker than other venues. Mm-hmm. There are some aspects that are going to, all of this is very, very important because as an artist and as an artist that medium isn't necessarily visual, it's not something that people are going to think of. So it's great to have someone that is, you know, mastered in the aspect in which you do to help create that thing where it becomes that symbiotic type of relationship moving forward. Both need each other to move forward, but, you know, both can actually survive on their own. What other advice do you have as per like things to wear, for example, for those that are sitting there going, oh, I was going to wear a white jumpsuit and now I can't wear a white jumpsuit. So tell that youngin, what is something that is going to be easier for the photographer, and especially not as a well-versed photographer as yourself?
Again, it's doable. If you want to wear that, if you absolutely want to wear that white jumpsuit, do it. The photographer will make it work. But for me, it's kind of dumb to say, but I kind of like tighter clothes on guys, not for any of those reasons, but because music is a sport, in my opinion. You guys are moving a certain way. You are kicking out legs. You are strumming guitars. You like Kenny. I love when he wears like the sleeveless, or any drummer when they wear the sleeveless or they go shirtless. Not for like reasons. It's because you get to see like that ripple of their muscle. You get to see the work they're putting in.
Right.
Some band like hip hop and stuff, go for it. Go wear the loose look, the clothes. That's like the look for the genre. But like if you're playing an instrument like a little bit tighter because you can see your movements better, or let's say you're like backlit, you get a cleaner silhouette, you can still see what's happening. If you're too loose, like it just all blurs and turns like into like a mush and just doesn't look as good. And like if you have a certain look you're going for, try to stay to that look, if that makes sense. Like because I've seen people where every show it's like a completely different look, and it's like, well, what, like your performances are your commercials, basically. They're how you're selling your brand. What do you want your brand to look like? Do you like, if you're changing it constantly, you might as well just change your logo constantly, because it's like, well, is this the same person I just saw? They look so different. They seem so different.
Right.
So, but like I said, if you want to wear the white jumpsuit, go for it. Personally, I would say go for like darker colors, and then you go warm or cool. Personally, I like a little bit warmer colors because I like the cool lightings. My stuff tends to be like on the bluer side. So if you're already wearing something kind of blue, it can go too blue, because digital photography, for some reason, with blue gets blown out almost as much as white, at least in my experience. It could just be the lighting that I'm shooting on. It could just be the way I'm shooting. For me personally, blue light, it's the most beautiful, but it's also can be one of the most difficult next to red.
Amanda, what's the best kind of camera to use first starting out?
So I'm going to say this, and I'm hoping it's not going to come off wrong, like rudely. It doesn't matter.
All right, cool.
The camera is not what makes the picture.
Okay.
You are. Like,
awesome.
So I love my Nikons, like I said. I started off on a crappy Panasonic though.
Mm-hmm.
I started off as a landscape photographer. Some of my most recent landscapes, and I don't know if you guys have saw them on Facebook, like that sunset I did, the one of the water down by my house, right here. It was just on my phone, and I just knew how to edit it. Nice. Photography is not really about your equipment. Yeah, better cameras do help, but if you don't know what you're doing, it's not going to matter. It's like, I know I said I'm not big on videography, but there was a YouTube channel I used to watch when I was trying to learn a little bit more. The guy gave his friend this like $10,000 camera to borrow. It was a Black Magic, like one of the most expensive top of the line ones.
Yeah.
He did a video. It was okay. Then the professional took his iPhone, changed like the layup. It's really about knowing how to format. Like the guy changed lighting so it was more dynamic. He changed the position of it so it looked more dynamic and more active, even though it was a like standstill thing. Like the guy was just like working on his computer. It really comes down to knowing how to frame and knowing how to pull those emotions out in the post-processing. It's not about the equipment.
It really depends on that individual.
Yeah. That being said, if you're going to stick to just photography, in my opinion, Nikon is one of the better ones for just photography. If you're going to do photography and videography, you're going to want a Canon or a Sony.
Gotcha.
From what I understand. Again, I don't do too much with videography, and I don't want to say my word is gospel, but from what I've learned and I've understood, that's what it is. And I'm sorry if you hear my dog in the background. He just woke up from a nap.
It's okay. We had pets try to disrupt the broadcast before, but the show must go on. I know I loved your aspect about the actual camera versus the actual human being when it comes to your art form, but tell me about just the different types of software, if I can barely speak, and just different type of apps you can use on the iPhone that can really bring your art to life. So again,
comes down to personal preference. For me, I have Adobe. I am in love with Adobe. I have been forever. Right now it's all subscription based. Because I'm still going to school, I get the student discount. I think it's like $35-$40 a month. I get all the apps. Before I went back to school, I was using just the photographer package, which is Adobe Lightroom and Adobe Photoshop for like $10. And then what's nice with the Adobe account is you get access to their mobile apps. So you could get mobile Adobe Lightroom, you could get mobile Adobe Photoshop, all of those things as well. So it's fun. You just kind of play around on there and you can find different apps. And then let's say like you don't have the money for Adobe right now. The only one I know of off the top of my head, it's called GIMP, GIMP. It's GNU Image Manipulation Program. It's an open source free version of Photoshop, basically. It doesn't have all the exact like controls as Photoshop, but it has most of them. And for a long time before I had Adobe, like, because I've been doing photography on and off since like my sophomore year of high school. I graduated 14 years ago. So that gives you an idea. So for a long time, I just used GIMP to do all my stuff. And it worked just as well as Photoshop. Just like I said, not quite as many features, not as fully fleshed out, but it's open source and it's free. And every now and then on Facebook, they do like have a thing that goes around, if you can't afford Adobe, here are free dupes that you can use. And I'm sure you just search like Adobe Suite dupes or Adobe Suite alternatives, and you'll find anything and everything you could possibly need. Like I know, I think it's called DaVinci Film. That's a free app to do photo editing, which is on, or not photo, video editing, which is on par with Adobe and like Final Cut. So it just comes down to what you can afford and how much you're willing to like do your research and look into it. You'll be able to find something somewhere if you need it.
If we need it on WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven, myself, Prestige, and my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City made EZ BlueZ is in in the building. I can barely speak right now. It's crazy. Amanda, we love you. Thanks for being a part of the show. Easy, go right ahead.
Well, it's really interesting because I love how you mentioned, it is the person, not necessarily the equipment. And, your eye in particular has opened up some doors that the average person that has, invested a whole bunch of money into that supercalifragic camera didn't necessarily have. You have been blessed to work with another friend of the show, Ralph, from my amp. And you've taken some pictures for him actually at Bridgeport for the national act, 311. Now, you have an incredible story about that. So, one, how did that happen? And two, tell us about the story.
So genuinely, I'm at work. It's, I believe, a Sunday or a Monday. And I get a message from Rick. He's like, Ralph just sent me this. Cut it down short. Basically, Ralph's photographer couldn't make it. Can you do it? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm working. Like, I'm supposed to work that day. Let me talk to my coworker. So I turned to Allie. She's my best friend. She's my work wife. Like, everyone knows, like, me and her, we're the dynamic duo. We do everything for each other. I'm like, hey, is there any, like, I just got offered to shoot 311 on this day. Is there, before I could even finish it, she's like, do it, go. I got you. Don't even worry about it. I'll cover 3 to 7. You have to go do this show. So it was just like, so for it to be like my day job, which I don't think I mentioned yet, like, I work in a hospital. I can't just like take time off. I can't just leave whenever I want. Like, I have to, like, if I want a day off, I need to put it in at least 6 weeks ahead of time, if not longer. And if I don't get that day off, they're like, I have to find someone to cover. And then what's hard, like, my position is different than most of the hospital. So it's my staff or my sister floor. That's it. I can't find somewhere. I can't just like, nope, I'm not coming in, get someone from another unit. It doesn't work like that for us. So the fact that Allie just drop of a hat was like, I got you. I didn't even get it out of my, like, I didn't even finish saying it yet. And she was already ready to cover me. It was like the most amazing, sweet thing for me. So I get there like before he does, actually, and I'm just waiting for them to show up. And are you talking about the Instagram message I got? That's the story?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about what it's like to actually be in the, a photography pit, because that doesn't necessarily happen at local shows. So why don't we talk about that first? Get to that end of the journey when it's time for the end of the journey. Right now, you're in the middle of the journey.
Sorry, my mom just showed up. That's what that was. So for getting there, first it was a bit of a disaster to get the photo pass, because this was like one of the first shows. I think the dome had been open for like a month when we went.
Right.
So trying to get it. So we get in. It was actually really cool because before I even get into the pit, I'm like third row in front. So that was dope as it could be. You get in the pit, like, before they let us in, they give us this whole spiel. It's like, it's the 3-song rule, which some people are like, I'm like, that's standard. I've never done this before. And even I know it's standard.
Right.
So 3-song rule means the band plays a song, second song, third song. Once that third song ends, you're out. And literally, like, some people were like, we were like turning to walk out, and the security guard was like herding us out, like, get out. And it's like, we're going.
Right.
But it was just really cool because you would think that, like, there'd be, because there were like 7 or 8 of us, like, shooting. People were like giving each other advice, moving out of the way. Hey, am I in your way? Are you in my way? Like, do you need me to move? It was like, I was surprised at how genuinely nice these people were to each other. And like, I was hearing some of these names, like, I was shooting alongside like people who were working for like magazines, companies. I was like, this is so bizarre for me. Then, like, at one point, I go back through the photos while I'm like editing. I was on the big screen at one point. I was like,
Oh,
when
look at
did
you.
that happen? Like, I just happened to look, and there I am, like holding the camera like that in one of my pictures. I'm like, okay, apparently everyone saw me taking a picture in this giant like dome. I was like, cool.
Right.
So it was definitely different. It was definitely fun, and I would love to do it again. If the opportunity arises, I will definitely take it. If it doesn't, oh well, it's just it. I got my moment, and I got to have fun doing it.
Now,
So,
now let's talk about that other aspect. That the aspect that proves the statement you made in the last segment. It isn't a matter of the equipment; it's a matter of the photographer or the person wielding the equipment. Because of that, you get some random, hit up on Instagram, and not one of those weird, creepy ones. Let's talk about it.
So because it was such a big band, I was like, I'm not posting all these photos up for everyone to see.
Mm-hmm.
And I only just like posted 3, and I had been obnoxious as I could be with my logo. I watermarked dead center all over it. And so, like Dustin said, I just get this random message. Hey, is there any way I could see more of your 311 photos? If they're top secret, I understand. I was like, hey, yeah, no problem. I'm just curious. Is there any reason why? Which he goes on to say, oh yeah, I'm the guy who designed their stage production. I believe his name was Bobby Gray. He basically designed all the video elements, all of the lighting, all that. And I was like, what? No, there's no way. So I screenshot the message and I send it to Rick. He's like, well, it seems legit. And he looks it up and he starts sending. He's like, no, this guy's legit. He's been with them for like the past 10 years. You need to show him. You need to show him. You need to show him. Like, okay. So I show him. And then right like in that moment, as soon as he responded after seeing them, he goes, these are absolutely amazing. I was like, that's it. I'm done. Hollywood likes me.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm done. I won. I'm like, Hollywood likes me. I don't have to shoot anyone ever again. So obviously I still do, but it was like, that was such a moment of recognition for me that I was like, oh my God, like this guy who's been in the business for who knows how long
Right.
is appreciating the work that I've done and telling me how good it is. So
loves your art form. That's what's up. That's awesome.
like I said, it was just absolutely, I was like, wow. And like to this day, I still have it in my messages. And if I start getting imposter syndrome, I go back and I'm like, no, he likes me.
Always ask this question to the creatives on our show. During the pandemic was a slow start and do the rest of the world. But for you as a photographer, how much art did you see with just no one being there at all?
More than you would think for me, actually. Because one, because of Rick, and two, because I talk to everyone and know everybody. 10 Selden had their live streams where it was just the bands performing and then live streaming and people watching online, because Rick is the like one of the main promoters and talent buyers for 10 Selden. I was at almost every show taking pictures still. I was one of the few people outside the band allowed there. When a band that is no longer together now, and I don't want to mention names because there were some things that happened.
Right. Of course.
They were at a different venue doing a live stream, and I was like, oh, I wish I could be there. The promoter messages me, hey, you want to come? So I got to shoot like a live stream, like just randomly. Shane Penguin let me come to a couple of their practices. Kept my practice up, doing photos of them at practice, taking promo photos. Like I got lucky. And then, like I said, also, I started as a landscape photographer.
Right.
Just go out, take a walk, take some pictures down the road. I live right next to a beach. I live like right next to a seawall. I find ways. I mentioned the lyric videos. I use the time to work on learning how to do lyric videos better. I like my shirt says art's a way of survival.
Of course.
It's part of my person, like it's part of me. I can't go without. So I always will find some way or another, even if it's just like taking old photos, re-editing them, learning new softwares, new tricks, new tips, like that is my thing. Like I'm always going to find something. And especially during that, like I said, I work in the hospital. It was brutal for me. So having that outlet, being able to still create and keep myself calm and having that outlet to like just shut my brain off from everything else and just zoom into that one thing, it was vital. Honestly, it really was.
Wow.
So
Wow. That's captivating. Easy.
Well, she also forgot that she got to shoot 3 amazing commercials during that time as well.
Three.
Two.
I think
we never
two.
finished
No,
the
there
third.
were 3. There were
We never
3.
finished
There
the
was a
third.
Okay.
No, it was finished. You didn't finish it.
We got to give time.
You shot
Okay.
3.
Out of respect for our guests, 2 and 1 unfinished. Okay,
Yes.
2 and
All
1
right,
unfinished.
fine.
Out of respect for our guests.
And
All right.
out of disrespect for your
Yeah.
co-host, he was supposed to give me a voiceover that he never did to finish it.
Oh my goodness.
No, I did. You just didn't get
No,
it.
you did not. You always want to blame me. It's your fault too.
Yeah. But yeah, so, you know, that's one of those keys is to constantly stay in the evolution aspect and constantly to move forward. You know, you said you took some time to work on the lyric videos. You know, you actually did one for Tim McDermott, who's been on our show as well. And you also are getting into doing some more of the artistic aspect of like Alter Ego put together their album, and you did the shots for their album as well.
During COVID, wasn't that when New England Music Hall of Fame too? With Chris and Angel.
Yeah.
That was during that
Yeah.
too. So
Yeah.
I got to work with that as well, doing video and photography. So like I helped record all of the interviews that the I don't know what to call them, inductees were. I helped Angel record the inductees interviews. So I got to do like more stuff during, like I said, like COVID was just a time for exploration for me. So sorry, it just like popped into my head. I'm like, oh yeah, that was a thing we did.
Right. And pre-COVID, you did a lot of work with Steve Rogers for his, you know, re-debut with his solo project after coming out of that type of aspect. So much so that I think some of the work that you did wound up in one of his music videos as well, correct?
Pray for Peace, yep. When he did that, all the studio footage was me. And all of the photos, both in studio and at the State House, were my work. So
okay.
No, so I've had let's see. I think music video wise, I've been involved in like 6 or 7, and I know of at least 4 that have had like my footage in it. So, so yeah, it's definitely like, and then not often, but I will now and then do like performance videos too. Like I was just going to do like a performance video to do it just so they had it, and footage I had taken ended up being which one was it? Was it Pretzel Times music video with Elle?
I think so, yeah.
I can't keep track. Like she just shows up and she's like, well, half my job's done, because I had the front facing camera and I had the drummer camera. Like I was just doing it so they had like nostalgia. I didn't know you were coming to shoot. And then she set up like 2 more cameras and it had a handheld. If you look at the music video, like my logo's right next to hers. Like I'm credited as a director, I think. So it's definitely, it's something.
No, it definitely is. Now, as you're continuing to grow and progress and the different aspects, is there a avenue you have not jumped into yet, dealing either with photography or videography?
Photography, yes, but it's not scene related per se. And this might be a little racy, but I've always wanted to learn how to like do boudoir photos. So, but that requires a studio, which I do not have.
Right.
So, and I know a couple people who do it, so I want to talk to them about getting into it eventually. But right now, it's just there's too much going on.
Right.
But other than that, like videography, I don't really want to learn too much, just because what I can do is is good enough for what I need right now. I just don't.
Right.
There's so many half-baked hobbies and talents as is. It's like I don't want to keep adding more, if that makes sense, which I know is kind of
makes sense.
It's just jack of all trades. Like, I'm already there. Let's not make it jack of all the trades plus one, you know?
Right.
So yeah, but just really, like, I guess I just want to kind of learn the boot Georges because I think it'd be fun to do, helping like women and men for that matter, because now like they do boudoir, just feeling confident and beautiful in themselves. I think that's like a really cool, worthy use of photography. That's like, because Ethan actually like told me, like, I took some pictures of him. He's like, I thought I was going to hate every photo. These are amazing. Jose's farewell show, when I took his pictures, he was almost crying. He's like, I've never felt so photogenic. I've never looked so good. Like, thank you so much for this.
Wow.
So for me, like, photography, like, I like to use it. It's not just like, I know I was focusing so much on the business aspect earlier, but I also love being able to show people how amazing they look, how much passion they can have, like things like that. Like after every show, I will hug the musicians and like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, it's passion, sweat. It's different. It's not like you were out just working. Like you were doing something you love, and it shows. And like, you deserve this hug because you just like kicked all the butt, you know? So it's just, yeah, I guess the best way is just, the only thing I want to expand with my photography is helping more people see how amazing and beautiful they can be.
Do you ever feel you have too much equipment with you?
Did you really just ask me that, having been to shows with me? Yes, I constantly feel like I have too much equipment. But I've also had shows where I'm like,
yeah,
bring this, and now I wish I had.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think you were at the show I had where I was doing a photo booth as well as taking photos.
Right.
And I had brought my whole computer monitor with me. Like, I have it wall mounted. I like took it off the wall, put it on the stand, and I had it there so you can see the photo as I was taking the. Oh wait, no, you did, because I remember I took a picture of you.
He was at the door.
So
he was at the door.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was
definitely times. Yeah, definitely times I have too much equipment. But you know what? If I don't have it, I miss it.
Yeah.
Right.
So I say this at work. I say this all the time. I would rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Of course.
So, because I think last time I went to use my flash, didn't have my extra batteries and my flash was dead.
Ooh.
And I was like,
oh man.
And like I had like a 24 pack of, you know what, they're actually still sitting in my room and not in my camera bag.
Right.
So I think after this, I'm going to go. I think after this, that's going to be my cue. Go put the batteries in your camera bag.
Well, I'm happy I gave you that reminder of WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven, myself, Prestige, and my partner in crime, Long Island Raised, Elm City Made, EZ BlueZ is in the building. Amanda's with us on Behind the Brand. Amanda, I didn't really say that to like knock you. I say that as a compliment because you're the most prepared person I know. You have everything for any kind of situation. Like,
including an entire med kit, pretty much.
Yeah, like when it comes to the MacGyver of photographers, you're it. like you have your sanitizer, you have your hard drive for this computer, you have like all these other hard drives for that, you have all these kind of wires just to back yourself up. You're ready in any kind of situation, no matter if it's outside of photography, inside photography, no matter what. So you're when it comes to getting that right shot for the moment, you are the person. But a lot of times when I interview photographers, they have little mixed feelings when it comes to formal photos. They like taking photos at their own will instead of just positioning people. Yes, I guess I got that reaction from you. I'm getting my answer right now because they're troublesome trying to get that person to stay in that one spot so they can be all right for that. Tell me your reaction to these experiences.
There is a reason why Savannah is my second photographer. Savannah likes doing post stuff. So it's like, here you go. Have fun. All yours.
Oh,
Right.
Lord.
I can do them.
Uh,
Do them well, but they're not as much fun
gotcha.
Right.
because, in my experience, you can never get everyone to just look at you.
Mm,
Um, Dustin can attest. It was the best video photo at the end of Grace's show at Best Video. I had one. Tristan wasn't looking at me. Another one, Sarah wasn't looking at me.
Yep.
Grace wasn't looking at me. Like Kenny's like eyes were out in the stratosphere. Like everyone. So I ended up having to take like 5-6 photos, layer them in Photoshop, and then paint in each individual person and like mask out and mask in. So I got a good shot where everyone was actually looking at me and looked right.
hmm
So it's like doable, but and it might make me sound lazy. It's so much more work and effort that I want to put in.
I got you.
Mhm.
So, like you even saw, like when you had me fix that photo for you, I had to like go in and paint your sister's hair in
Yeah.
to like make sure it looked right because you needed a gray background and you were on blue. I had to like go in and like mask out sections of her hair and make it black and white.
Mhm.
Like I said, I'll do it. I'm not going to be happy about it, but I'll do it.
Right.
So yeah, some people they love the portrait stuff. I'm not one of them. Like I like a little like it's a challenge, but it's a different kind of challenge. I like the challenge of figuring out like I'm not even joking. I will sit there and I'll take a burst of like Tristan playing or John or Bobby or someone on a string instrument, and the difference between their hand being on this fret, where's my hand, like this fret or that fret can change the feel of it, like a photo, like because like a different like point, like a different chord in that song gives them a different like emotional response. So to have like, so it's a little bit more of a challenge. Or right now, my goal is John jumping in one of the songs. Like my goal is to catch him fully in air.
Right.
I've done it like once or twice before on other bands. Like the thing with like the live music, the unposed stuff is like I can set myself these little challenges, these little goals, and it makes it more fun and almost like a game. Like, hey, I did it. What's my next one?
Right.
So yeah, I can do the post photos, but the post photos, people also tend to be like, oh, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like that. Like,
Right.
well, then don't make that face if you don't like that face. Like,
Do you feel people aren't their authentic selves when it comes to photos like that?
they absolutely are not.
Okay.
They absolutely are not. They're trying too hard to look cool. They are trying too hard to give the smolder. Like, stop it. That's not you. You're false advertising. Like, because everyone's like, oh, why don't you smile in your photos? I'm like, I don't smile in person. Why would I smile in photos? Like, it's just me. Like, I'm not a smiley person. I'm not a happy person. Like, you know, like that's not what I give off. So why am I gonna like lie in my photos and be like, oh, here I am? Like, no, like just I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna have like the little side curl smile and be my genuine self. And so, but everyone's like smiling or they're this. It's like, stop. Like, it's not you. It doesn't look good. Like, you can tell you're forcing it. Please, like, just be yourself. That's why, like I said, I like to take those pictures where I'm testing my settings, but like it's an actual picture I'm going to use. Like you're talking to your like your bandmate or you're talking to your brother, you're talking to your whoever, and like it's natural and it shows who you are and still looks good,
right,
without that forced like BS, for lack of a better word.
Makes sense.
So,
unfortunately, we only have so much time in this broadcast, Amanda, but please, we always like to give this last time to our guests. So give any kind of advice for someone who wants to go on a similar path as you, and also give any social media to anybody wants to reach out to you. So go right ahead.
Okay. So band specific advice. I read this advice and I take it to heart. Never forget the drummer. When you're shooting a band, the drummer's always blocked. Get on stage, get in the way, push the guitarist out of the way. I've done it. Get your drummer shots. And then photography in general. And again, quote, I never remember who said it, but I love it to death. Photography is like sex. You know the ending. How are you going to make it interesting? Just so I never remember who said it, but it's my favorite quote. And to me, like it's absolutely true. You're going to take a picture. It's going to be a photo. How are you going to make the photo look cool? That's the most important thing. And also just have fun. Don't take it too seriously.
Right.
And then as for social medias, Defilippo Photo is my Instagram. I'm horrible about updating it. And then I believe my Facebook is Defilippo Photo and Video, because I was originally going to get into more video stuff. But if you just search Defilippo Photo, I'm going to pop up. It's a black, white, and purple logo, because I believe there is a Defilippo Photo like over in Italy as well. Because I spell photo with an F, not a PH. So it's to match the last name. Got to keep it consistent.
There you go.
Consistency is key. On WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, myself, Prestige, and my partner in crime, Long Island Raised, Elm City Made. Easy Blues is in the building. Amanda's in the building with us too. And Amanda, thank you for being here with us.
You're welcome.
Wondering what to write about, trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist, am I worth anything or just discount? I don't know.